Hello, you guys, and welcome to Artist Wednesdays, but I really want to say the Women's Cave, and it's WOMENS apostrophe. That's right, it's incorrect English, cave. I'm sorry. Jade, you were saying?
See, now, every time, how do you do this? You know what? Fine, I take that champagne bottle back to you.
No! Okay, the champagne wars have continued, and she is now doing a second blow. I did the first blow. I have to say, I did break the peace treaty. I'm not going to lie. I did. We had a champagne peace treaty, and now it's over.
I know. And I was like, I just got on the internet and ordered a whole box of champagne. So, I mean, I don't know why you want to start the wars when I just, like, you want to start again. That's messed up, but I'm Jade.
Oh, no. Good job. Ebola elbow.
Yes.
We remembered. We're semi-professional today. We wrote books, by the way. Life guides that are pop poetry. Run through them for me.
With pop poetry. Not that art. I think we're doing with.
With pop poetry.
Okay, yeah, so, it's just a bunch of, I'm tired of saying the list.
The first one.
And I thought divorce was bad with other life lessons available on audible.com, barnes&noble.com, amazon.com.
And the 13 other And I Thought series.
Okay, wait, no. And I Thought Being Grown Up was easy because it will soon be available on Audible, which is exciting.
That is true.
Probably in June.
Joe, you took 2 years, but you're amazing.
But you did the thing. You did it, so yay! Perfection, you can't rush it.
And then we have the Misfit Guide series, and we are the founders of
the 25 hottest indie authors, artists, and advocate magazine. And also, you can check out our all poetry books, Only I With Me, on barnesandnoble.com.
And
wait. And everything your leads doing, www.andwethought.com. I'm tired of talking about me. Whew! I never thought the day would come that Winona was tired of talking about her own self, so that's amazing. But y'all want to hear from our wonderful guest. Wonderful guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
I am happy to, everybody. My name is Kevin E. West, and I am a veteran television actor. I've been doing this in Hollywood. I grew up in rural Tennessee, so I have the southern part of me, but I've been in Los Angeles for 3 decades. My first TV show was Matlock, so that tells you how far back I go. My most recent show is a show on HBO called The Righteous Gemstones. I finished 2 episodes of that, literally got off the plane on Friday the 13th from South Carolina, and 36 hours later, they shut the city down. So we've all been in COVID land, but I'm a former athlete, was a college golfer, love anything outside with a ball or a score that makes you sweat. I grew up fishing in, cut off jeans. I sometimes am affectionately known as the Hollywood redneck. I've authored 3 books, 1 on showbiz, 2 on a gift book series. And I'm also a corporate speaker on communication, also known as the communication entrepreneur. And that's me.
Wow, you're so well-rounded.
Yes.
As you went from art to business, like corporate business.
I know. How did you do that?
Basically, it's every day, all day long. That statement of, again, and we use this phrase in show business, as they always say, it's not show art. I don't think that I necessarily meant to take that personally when I first decided to become an actor. But the truth of the matter is, I grew up in a very rural part of Tennessee. My mother was a country singer. I was not born there. I grew up there. And I think, unfortunately, from a young age, because of slave labor, of course, I have to say it that way, because I was 11 years old and forced to work in my mom's restaurant. So I think that's where all the business stuff came from early in my life, even though I am a Pisces. And then, of course, the sports part of me is, sure, there's creativity in that to a degree, but it's still, you still have to have your left brain very alive and very focused. And then I naturally took calculus, I took accounting, I took all of these things that sort of belied my nature until I finally discovered psychology. And the second that I discovered my interest in psychology, which is just, it was completely natural. It was organic. I didn't plan this. That began the change, I think, in me. And this was in my early 20s. So I didn't even come to California until I was 24, which is late by Hollywood standards. That's late. I didn't know anybody, not an exceedingly pretty boy. I'm not, don't look like Brad Pitt. So it was a slow start, for me in Hollywood. I was a stand-up comic. I was an improv artist. And then I turned towards the reason I came here, which is what we call scripted, whether it's feature films or whether it's TV. And I just wound up working in television. And so and now all of Hollywood's moved towards television. There's now 425 television shows. And so that's kind of how I do the left brain, right brain dance every single freaking day, minute to minute. I go from something that I got to be left brain to sitting down and writing something. I started a poem regarding COVID, you know, so it's actually, I'm a ping pong ball. It's like bing, 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 constantly.
That's awesome. I have to ask because we grew up and both of our mothers, they own their own businesses. So yes, we are familiar with, we don't call it slave labor because, you know, like, I don't know, maybe it's just in Maryland, but in Maryland that if you're under, like, you know, the working age, you can work for your family business and get paid.
Paid.
I was like, how often do you see that pay? Until you get to that working age.
Oh, hell no. There was, well, again, obviously, you use the word slave being a white boy from the South. It's a dicey thing to say today's terms. But, you know, the bottom line is that working as a kid for nothing for your family in the South today, and in many places in this country, be it Montana, Idaho, any place, that would just, that, you know, I think they would just call that Monday. I mean, it's not something that's unusual. I don't say it in some way that makes it unusual. And in part because I didn't have a father, it was kind of also babysitting. You know, my mother looked at it as, if you're here working for me and with me, then I know where your butt is. I don't have to worry where your butt ain't. So I make the joke and call it that, but the truth of the matter is, working as a punk little kid for your family, your parents, is pretty much just a day that ends in Y.
Yeah, exactly. It does. It really does.
Well, my question was going to be like, because of that, we have this strong business basis, and when we meet people who are very
and this is Artist Wednesday, remember?
Yeah, this is Artist Wednesday, and I guess I shouldn't ask that question.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we meet people who are very, very, very artistic, and when you go, well, have you thought about the monetary side of that? Have you decided to build a foundation and they're like, you don't think about these things. That's what you have agents for. And you're like,
yes.
How do you deal with that? Because I deal with it terribly.
Well, you know, there's two sides to that, because for me, ladies, there is the Kevin part of that. And then there's the Kevin who founded an organization that was based on the very training of that. So, you know, my book, 7 Deadly Sins the Actor Overcomes, this is a book that is exceptionally valuable to somebody who wants to consider being an actor for money. And a lot of actors will tell you, well, of course I want to make money, because that's what everybody does. Like, well, no, actually, it's not what everybody does. Some people actually just enjoy being artists for the sake of being artists, and they're not trying to monetize their art. And I think, in part, to be honest with you, the best answer I can give you, ladies, on this program is to share with you that because I am a Pisces and because I'm actually an exceptionally sensitive person who just happens to have a tough sort of rural Tennessee third baseman side to him as a man, it was necessary for me to learn how to bifurcate the artistic side of my soul as an actor versus the left brain side of me that understood it as business. And the way that I did that was understanding that it doesn't matter who you are simply a product for sale. Literally, whether you're selling, one of my other books, a product for sale, or you are the product for sale, which is what being an on-camera actor is. You're the pencil, you're the pen, you're a Sharpie, Jade. I mean, that's literally, none of them are bad. They're all good. The question is, what do we need today? Do we need a pencil? Do we need a pen? Or do we need a Sharpie? Because, I mean, I've lost jobs, so to speak, to African-American males, and I've lost jobs to Asian females. Now, I don't know how in the hell casting comes down on a given day to white dude and an Asian female, but it doesn't matter. And me learning how to have that not matter is how I learned how to protect myself as a Pisces artist versus the 5'10" Caucasian male of a certain age who's up for a job, employee, and in our subjective art business on that given day, they decided to hire a poodle instead of a German Shepherd. And you can take that personally all day long if you want to. And this is part of what I've been talking to actors about for 3 decades. But if you do, chances are it's probably going to really affect your soul. and it's going to affect your psyche, rather than realizing, and I always do this, ladies, so just know I'm doing it. That would be like a pump taking it personally one day because you went to the shoe store and had to get a sling back. And the pump actually screamed at you and threw something at you as you walked away from not buying it that day. And that's, I couch it in that way so that people, and I do it with cars, I do it with all sort of things that we choose to buy on one day and then choose to buy something else the next day. And for me as an artist, to me, it just was necessary. Like I literally have a line in this book that says, I get my feelings hurt all the time by people, and I do. But Hollywood's never hurt my feelings because Hollywood is exactly what it tells you it is. It is a multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry that uses human beings to make money. And if you don't want to be a part of that, and or you discover that that doesn't work for you, it's no problem. U-Haul is still open. You can leave any day you want. And I mean that sincerely, not as a quitter. I mean that in terms of protecting your soul, because you can be an actor anywhere. You don't have to be in LA. You don't have to be in New York. You don't have to be in Chicago. And you sure as hell do not have to do film and television. You can just do stage and enjoy yourself as an artist. There's no requirement. This is a decision that we make. So that's the way that I've managed to take my left brain and the way I grew up and protect my Pisces right brain in a business where they hire different pencils every single day. And that is basically the philosophy.
This is why he's a great speaker.
This is why he's a motivational speaker, because I felt motivated. Like I felt like maybe I need to reevaluate my life choices.
Oh, girlfriend.
Oh, no, thank you. You crushed
There's a
me.
chapter right in here that would do it. Called The Decision.
Jay, did you have a question before I ask another one? Okay,
ahead.
I'm protecting my champagne now that there's a box. And I've already lost the bottle. I'm going to try to regain, to keep
Get your glass back. Get your glass back now. Come on. Don't be.
One time, she said something on the show, and I had poured her a glass of champagne, and then you rushed and took the beginning.
Yes.
After we discussed it out, and I just drank it in front of her face. It was great.
The whole show, this is your champagne.
Yeah, that doesn't really work out. Yeah.
No. So
the pantomime champagne for improv, that doesn't really work out because it doesn't taste
as
good
all.
as the real thing. Crown Royal, just, with the glass that says Crown Royal, there you go. Not that they're a sponsor of the show, I'm just saying.
I like it. I like it very much.
That looks like it tastes so good. I'm not an alcoholic, I'm just saying. Happy hour is coming soon. Okay,
it's after 12 here, so I'm good.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. So we should probably ask an artist question, which I wanted to do. Okay, artist question was I've always wanted to ask an actor this, and since we actually have we already know you, we have a rapport, I'm going to ask, how the heck do you fit all those people in y'all's brains?
When you say fit all those people, how do you mean? You mean characters?
Yes.
Oh,
no.
You
on all the time.
Yeah, that wouldn't, I'm sure there are probably some actors who might answer that question that way. I would not. It would not be how do you fit all those people in that way. I want you to think about it like this. And this is exactly how I'm going to say it to y'all. How many different recipes that are really good do you think there are ways to make chicken soup?
An endless amount. Yeah.
A bunch. Let's just call it 100. How about we just call it 100 for the sake of the conversation? Okay. Now, some of those different recipes might include some different ingredients, of course, but a lot of them even would still consider some of the same ingredients. So if you look at all the ingredients of chicken soup possibilities and look in the mirror and realize that you have all that in your life that you've already experienced, from the intellectual part of your memories to the core soul of your part of your relationships and all the human different beings that you've met over the course of your time, basically I'm chicken soup. Which recipe would you like today? And I dial that up. And that's a character. And one day you have more carrots, one day you have less carrots. One day you have more stock that you start with, one day it's a little more salt, a little more pepper. This is the part of what makes up you guys and all of us as human beings. So if I'm a human being simply portraying a human being, then I'm simply playing with what I've always called, this is the way Kevin talks about it in here, and I am in the middle of writing a dating book, and that's literally the whole dating book. I've always called everything by a music board. I know you guys have been in sound engineer studios and you see a big, huge soundboard, right? With all these dials and buttons. Well, that's the way I look at human beings. And that's the way I look at actually portraying a human being, because technically we all, as human beings, we all have the same set of dials. But the combination of which ones are turned up to 2, which ones are turned up to 7, which ones are at 10, or the joke in Spinal Tap, no, sorry, this one goes to 11. Don't touch it. Don't even look at it. Just if you look at that movie and that scene from it, don't even look at it. That makes up a human being on a given day. And so our job, aside from learning lines and actually blocking and hitting your marks and all of that left brain crap that's going on simultaneously while you're doing all of this, our job is to look at the material that somebody has written and go, okay, what chicken soup am I going to make today? Name James, name Doug, name Billy, or in my case, I've been hired as a Dante and a Mario. You're going to have to explain this from this face. I don't know how you see this and go Dante. I'm like, okay, you need help. Or much less Mario. Sorry, I'm not Latin, but thanks. Or Italian. But it's not so much the characters for me. It's much more the recipe of the soup. That's what makes up a character.
It really answers so many questions.
It did answer so many questions. It did.
I have ruined the show.
You have not ruined the show. It's a great thing. I mean, I come on my own show to learn something.
I really
do. So I hope everyone out there comes on here to learn something, or, just to laugh with us, because I like to laugh too, like learn, laugh. Same difference, right? So how did you go from being an actor and an author to being like a motivational speaker that you are?
Well, chicken versus the egg. I actually probably I was a motivational speaker. I was an educational speaker before I was an author. Now, let's go all the way back. When I was a kid, my mom was a singer, piano player, born with perfect pitch, had a voice like Patsy Cline. And I used to write poetry when I was a kid, little big kid. And so at one point she had wanted me to actually try to write songs. I've actually been trying to write 2 songs for about 3 years and I just can't get them done. So, but I was probably a writer, ironically enough, first in my life, and yet it's the last thing that I've done in my life. In the process, what happened, Jade, was in becoming an actor, I eventually accidentally, complete accident, wound up founding an organization that just started out as a meeting in my apartment called the Actors Network. If you look the Actors Network, and the apostrophe comes after the S, plural possessive, it was actually quite a successful, well-known organization here in Hollywood that I'm the founder and president of, that I ran for 23 and a half years, from 1991 to the middle of 2013 when I physically closed the doors. It exists online, but not at all the same, because it was a physical meeting place. It was a learning place, so it's not the same. But that's what led to me why I wound up sitting in front of people, talking. We had groups. Eventually they were called power groups, and I would facilitate them. We didn't use the word teacher, we didn't use the word workshop, and we didn't use the word seminar, because actors' egos are so fragile, no one ever wants to feel like they're not in charge. And then I slowly started coming up with all these subjects, which is the basis of this book, over the course of 2 decades, to where I eventually would do what we called topical discussions. And that's when I began standing up in front of people. And again, I had been a stand-up comic. I had done improv, so crazy goofball brain, going like this all the time, never sure which direction it's going in, coupled with the structure and the discipline of stand-up. And then I was speaking with people and asking questions and basically being a moderator, facilitator, host about 1,000 times, at least, over the course of the life of the Actors Network. And so, and some of those times, obviously, I spent time on stage. I going to events. I've spoken in Stockholm. I've spoken in the Ukraine. I've spoken at the Writers Guild. I've spoken at Showbiz Expo, at many universities. So that is kind of all before I even considered doing this now, Jade, in the corporate keynote motivational educational structure of how that functions. But it's an easy transition for me, because when I first started thinking about it, and I started thinking, what would I want to speak on? Because there are a lot of different categories. It became very simple to me, because one of my biggest pet peeves in life is poor communication. So all of my platforms, and I do them for different industries with different titles and different subject matters, but they're all based in communication, because my trademark, literally trademark, is AEI, audience, environment, and intent. And our communication is affected by those three things every single minute of every single day, and we actually don't understand them well enough, and that's why a lot of communication is poor. So that's what led to me becoming a corporate keynote speaker, Jade, and that's where the program comes from. It really comes from me having spoken on show business in front of actors for nearly 29 years, because I do it still today. At the American Film Institute here in Los Angeles, where I met you guys in person, they provide a location for the Los Angeles Conservatory, which is part of Screen Actors Guild here in Los Angeles. And I speak there to actors every single month for free.
Wow. So do you think the way that you have okay, every question I've asked that I expected an artist answer to, there has been a logic analytical answer.
We like it very much.
I love it.
It's nice.
I absolutely love it. I think that's why we ended up being writers, logic analytical and creativity.
This is all artists right here. That's all artists. These two gift book series, Life in a Word, Politics in a Word, they have obviously left brain analytical parts to them. But when I came up with the idea for Kevin's dictionary, Life in a Word, it's 100% emotional. And I got to be careful because I might start crying. When I finished this book, if you read it, I had someone ask me this. A couple of friends of mine read it, and they said, "Hey, man, I'm just curious because the book is, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but a word can sometimes be an entirely new picture." And the point of the book is that when you open it up, there's a word here, and so you look at the word, and that word is marriage, and we naturally think about the story being something related to marriage. And the whole point of the book is it isn't. And so the desire is that the book wants you to look at a word in a different way and see the scene that I've written from life, the artistic moment that I took from life, and go, yeah, that is like a marriage. I wouldn't have thought of it that way. And so for me, putting this book together was pure artistic enjoyment. And then somebody asked me, how many of those stories, because there's 50 words in each one, so there's 50 stories in each one of these, how many of those actually happened to you? And I hadn't really thought about it the first time I was asked that question. And then I started thinking about it, and I kind of counted them up, and I realized that about 35 of the 50 were actually from my life. And yet, the 15 or so that I just made up, that I just literally didn't take artistic license and sort of shape something into this book, that I just invented. 4 or 5 of them are 4 or 5 of my favorite ones in the book. Playground is one of those that I just invented because it correlates to a morning on the floor of the American Stock Exchange. The New York Stock Exchange, sorry, as a playground. So the pure Pisces of me, that's when I get to sit down and just purely play in my mind. And it's still hard, but it's very fun. And so and while the dating part is going to have a lot of analytical logic to it, the truth of the matter is there's not a lot analytical and logical about dating. And we get ourselves into that because we don't actually stop and think about some of the stuff we're doing in dating. And that's kind of the point of the book. But I want it to be this wonderful marriage of the two, but I'm also in the process of simultaneously, I have 3 books, and I'm probably going to finish the first draft of all 3 of them in June and July. That's my goal right now during COVID. The 2 other books are humorous books. They're just, the problem is I'm going to have 6 books on the market, and none of them will go together because I'm just an idiot. I mean, that's one of the things I say when I speak. It's like, I am a goofball. And those other 2 books that are just humorous based, they're like little fun, little novel, funny books. Those are just pure joy for me to spend time writing. Pure joy.
He's an excellent writer, y'all.
Yeah.
If you guys are watching, you should pick up those books, Life on Politics. Okay. They're really good.
So we have the final question because, wow, it's 20 minutes. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Final Jeopardy. Here it comes. I'm going to go for the Daily Double. Go ahead.
Final question is, where can people find more about you and your books online?
And you're speaking.
Yes, thank you. The most simple way would be to go to kevinewest.com. My middle initials E as in Edward, and that's not even my middle name. kevinewest.com is the easiest place. You can also find all three of my books at titletownpublishing.com and or on Amazon. All three of those books are there. I'm easily able to be followed at the Kevin E, and that's Instagram or Twitter. You can find me there. I'm also on LinkedIn. But I'm not hard to locate. And the three books, Seven Deadly Sins the Actor Overcomes, Kevin's Dictionary Life in a Word, Kevin's Dictionary Politics in a Word, all on Amazon, all at titletownpublishing.com, or all of that. And as a speaker, which when you go to kevinewest.com, there's a nav bar right there that says speaker. And if you're an event planner or somebody who books speakers, every single thing there you'd want to know about me is right on that link.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on and having a drink for us, because that's
I know, because y'all are staying with champagne, and quite frankly, brother can't drink champagne or I'll just pass out. So I got to go with this. Champagne just gives me a headache, makes me crazy. It's like, hey, did you guys lock Kevin up in the bedroom? Because that's where he needs to be if he's drinking champagne. But if I can drink this all day, and we're completely fine.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And I guess I'll just go ahead and wrap it up.
Thank you, ladies, very much.
You can find everything your ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. While you're there, take a moment, go to the ladies tab, go down to the middle of the page and see the charities that we probably support. Yes, we know that times are hard, so money might not be an option for you right now to support them with, but time or just donations of clothes, books, things like that, that is very important to them too, or just some knowledge. Just, everyone can use some extra knowledge or wisdom. Thank you so much in advance. We really appreciate it. And just remember that wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys. I'm doing professional today.
Okay.
From Winona.
Okay, then. And Jade, bye-bye.